going to briefly introduce our speaker tonight because he's going to tell you all about himself. It's Winton Porter, who is the owner of the mountain crossings at Wallasayi. Just briefly, Winton grew up in Atlanta. He had worked for REI and Galleons, which is now Dick's, before buying Mountain Crossings about 10 years ago. And he has had lots of adventures as proprietor of Mountain Crossings that he's going to tell us about tonight. So welcome, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much for having me out here. I was coming down here on the way from Dahlonega, and I found out, by the way, you guys from here? Most everybody's from this area. You know Happy Hollow Road? Well, we find out why it's Happy Hollow Road just a few minutes ago. We were lost on it. And when you're going 45 and they throw in those speed bumps at lines, so if I pass out because I hit my head on the roof of the car, you understand? But it's good to be back in Georgia. The last talk that I had a couple months ago was in New York, and Nancy, my lovely wife here, this is Nancy. We were in New York. Patagonia had flown us to New York to do a book signing up there, and on Broadway, at an outfitter. But we got into New York, and we went through Central Park, and I'd never been to Central Park. And there's a restaurant in Central Park. Anybody know what it's called? It's called the Boathouse. You ever been to Central Park out there?
Tavern on the Green.
Yeah, the Tavern on the Green.
Yeah.
And Nancy and I were just talking about it in the green room. And that was the word I was looking for. I'd gone up to the entrance of the restaurant, and I listened to the guy and said, "Well, where do we go?" He said, "Well, go to Mr. D." And Nancy's behind me, and I'm heading towards the restaurant, towards the other end of the restaurant, and I get to the thing, and Nancy goes, "Well, what did he say?" I said, "Well, here, we got to just get Mr. D." And she goes, "No, that's Maitre D." See, I just don't understand the people up there. That's why I like being down here. But I wanted my name is Winton Porter, and any good speech, you're supposed to start off with some comedy, and on the way down here, too,
You want the lights?
Yeah, the lights on.
Yeah. I'll work this crowd, so I might be back there, and I'll say hello to all y'all back there.
We can get the phones off.
So, on the way out of the shop, I decided the best way to start this thing was with a quote. And so I brought my resignation letter. So I will quote it. And so, let me read it to you. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy. The chance to draw back. Always an effectiveness in all acts of initiative and creation. But the moment one commits, then providence moves too. Boldness has magic, power, and genius in it. We know that as Wolfgang van Gogh. I tend to write resignation effective immediately. My life is returned to me. I retired on December 6th at 11:05. By 4 o'clock that afternoon, I was on my way to Disney World with my kids. 2 months later, I bought Mountain Crossings, and I've never worked a day in my life. I'm like a perma-vacationer. Any in here? Any perma-vacationers?
Yes.
Absolutely. It's all in the North Georgia mountains. So what we're going to talk about today is, who am I? I don't know the answer. What exactly is Mountain Crossing? One of the number one questions I get is, why did you decide to write a book? And what is just Passin Thru about? And then I'm going to leave some time for some questions. All right? So who am I? I am Winton Porter. That was my God-given name at birth. But for 8 years, I lived as the name of Winnie. Now, Winnie, you learn to fight. Might as well call me Sue. Until I was 8 years old, I was Winnie. I know the song. Don't try to sing it to me. Winnie. It's been given all my life. All my life. But in 1986, I started my first company, B. Bumblefoot and Company. B. Bumblefoot and Company was my first intro into the outdoor business. Okay, I had made hiking sticks, and I sold them out of the back of my Toyota Tercel to pay for books for college. And then I moved through my life. I did medical sales. I worked in the banking industry. Found out early what I didn't want to do. Went to work for REI, building bicycles, and was promoted fairly quickly. Became the youngest store manager in the history of the company. and managed a store in Chicago, worked in Salt Lake and Atlanta. And then Galleons recruited me back in the late 90s, and I did 4 years with them. But there's my resume, and if anybody needs me to do any work, I'm not for hire. What is mountain crossing? I have 850,000 acres in my front yard. I got 1.2 million acres in my backyard. I'm a little island on about 4 acres owned by the Department of Natural Resources, the state of Georgia. We sit on the 30.7 mile mark on the AT. We're the only place where the Appalachian Trail actually goes through a man-made structure. We go through 500 or 600 packs a year. We ship back 9,000 pounds of gear each year, helping people understand the decisions that they made and decided to put on their back. Okay? So you can imagine, I live in a sitcom of crazy. It makes for an interesting story, I came to find out. And what inspired me to write this book? Number one question I had. I wanted to make people laugh. I truly wanted to make people laugh. One of the stories that I can recall in the beginning that keeps coming back to me time and time again. There was a guy we called him Lefty. Now we didn't call him Lefty to his face, understand me. The guy was missing his right hand, so I didn't want to make him feel good. But this is a story that the roots of it all, my friends, all of it, are seated right here in your lovely county. But y'all want you to listen carefully because there will be a test. And this is also a lesson of communication. Lefty was a vagabond of sorts. We call him a duffel bag hiker. A duffel bag hiker consists of essentially a day pack they must have pulled out of a garbage can. It might say Jansport on the back of it or something like that, a little book bag. A little, probably a sleeping blanket of some sort rolled up in twine. The kind you carried when you were a little kid, possibly. Maybe it had some Cowboys and Indians on it. Remember that one? All right, red and black and blue. I have. Tied up with a little twine. Now Lefty was probably about he had the long beard. There was enough food in his beard to probably last him for a couple of days. Okay, and he smelt just left of a bottle of Jack Daniels. All right, so that would be wild turkey. But he'd hung around for about 3 days. He'd been in and out of the store several times. He'd been up in the woods. He'd reappear. On the third day, I go up to the man, and I say, "Hey, do you need some help?" He goes, "Well, yeah, I could. And I need to get to town to get some money." I said, "Well, great. I'm headed to town. At least I'm going halfway. I can get you halfway to town, to Blairsville." He goes, "Oh, okay. Kind of a shy fella. Yeah, but seemed friendly enough, harmless, I would think. Yeah. I mean, what more could he do? He could only catch me with the right, with the right hook." So I have this old 1996 Toyota Previa van. It's got 200 million miles on it, 280,000 miles on it, this Toyota van. Well, the trick to getting into the van is you can't pull the door handle because it sets off the alarm and shuts the car down and requires me to go underneath the hood to get the thing started again. Lefty was anxious to get in the car, so he grabbed my car door. The alarm goes flying off. He hits the ground as if, I don't know if he thought he was getting arrested or a bomb was going on. And I'm sitting there, and I come around the side of the car, and I'm, "Man, it's okay, it's okay." And I help him up a little bit, and he watches me as I go to the front of the car. And I pop the hood, and I have to disconnect the battery to the car and reconnect it in order to start it. So I do that, and I turn over to Lefty, and I look at him. He's still got that deer in the headlight look like something's going to blow up or I'm going to get arrested. I'm going, "No, man, everything's cool. Red wire, snip, snip." I had you up there, but trust me, you got to make him think you're just crazy enough. He goes, "Okay." So he gets in the car, and we're driving. We'll sit here. We're driving down the town to Blairsville. I'm thinking, this is good. I'm going to get this man out of my jurisdiction because if he stays in the woods, he's going to die. So I go, "Lefty," not really. I go say, hey, what brought you to the mountains?" He goes, "Well, man, there's Forest Service land. You know, it's everywhere. Yeah. He goes, yeah, the sheriff down here in Dahlonega, he was nice enough to carry me up to your shop. The sheriff in here? I got a couple people. I'm going, really, as I'm driving him out of my jurisdiction, right? Well, to understand this, I sit on the Lumpkin County line, folks. The Lumpkin County is at the end of my driveway. And so he dropped him off in my driveway, so he's my responsibility. So I'm driving him out of my jurisdiction. Now, y'all listen up, because it's going to get interesting. I drop him, I get down to I go, so Gracie, you're going to hike the Appalachian Trail. Where's that? Y'all remember that earlier I just said I'm the only place where the Appalachian Trail actually goes through a man-made structure. He was sitting right on my gravel pathway. I'm going, well, that's good. So I get to the destination, I'm halfway. He's got 5 miles to go. This man can make it even with one arm. And he steps out of the car, thanks me. What was funny though, because I don't know if he had trained himself to do this, is he was missing his right hand. He reaches out with that right hand, and I wasn't sure if I was supposed to shake it, but I gave him $5. Yeah, I think that's what he wanted. Get him out of my car. Well, it gets better. I wanted to make people laugh. So about 3 days later, I'm up at the shop. The night before, we had had rain, we had had sleet, we had snow, we had ice, we had all of it. Weather was not good for anybody who was out on that trail, and this was the heat of hiking season. So there were hundreds of people out there. I get a phone call from my backyard, about 20 miles back, at Blue Mountain Shelter. They go, Winton, this is Ramblin'. Yeah, man, what's up? We got this guy, we can't get him moving. Everything he's got's wet. Yeah, but we can't get him, let me guess. Is he missing his right hand? Yeah, man, how'd you know? Oh, man. Okay. Said, can you get him some clothes? Can you get some? No, everything we have is wet, man. We got to get out of here. We got to leave. I said, you can't leave the man. Can you get me a pulse? He goes, yeah. So he goes to get a pulse. The phone goes dead. And he comes back, calls back. We get 65 beats per minute. Okay. So I hang up the phone and I call 911. I say, this is Winton Porter. We got a 45-year-old male. He's about 30 pounds overweight, missing his right hand. We're getting 65 beats per minute. We think we're in a hypothermia situation. And he is at Blue Mountain Shelter. They're trying to move him to Unicoi, which is Helen, White County, right? Keep me tested here. So, we get hang up. I have done my job. Another day at the mountain crossings of my life. So, a few minutes later, I get a call back. It's Ramblin'. We got to move. Okay, good. Just get down. There's rescues down at the bottom of the hill. They'll be there for you. So, about an hour passed, and I get another phone call back. And it's Ramblin' again. He goes, Winton, man, what happened? I mean, what do you think? He said, they got this helicopter here. It's got wings on it. It says Emory University. I'm going, oh, my, man, what? That doesn't make sense. They had 5 rescue vehicles, a helicopter from Emory, all right? And the guy wouldn't get in the car. But what came to find out later is an Emory helicopter with wings on it, folks. I don't know if there's any EMTs here, but I would say it's like $35,000 just to turn the key, right? Remember, this was a lesson in communication. I know you know what's happening. You're a man of wisdom. You can tell. I'm getting it too. Blonde. Used to be blonde. Hair club for men. It works. But I get down there. I find out later. I go, what happened? Well, apparently when I called 911, I said 45-year-old male, 35 pounds overweight, missing his right hand. He's got a heartbeat 65 beats a minute. But the error was I should have used the word amputee, right? So by the time they had called White County got the message. We had a man not only missing a hand, apparently he was also 65 beats per minute. So they turned on the emergency helicopter. And but the lesson in communications. That test we all take. If I tell you a story, by the time it gets down there, I want a bacon burger with my mouth. That's my life in mountain crossing. I wanted to make people laugh. And the other thing is sibling rivalry. Sibling rivalry is weird. It's real. I come from a normal family, folks. Dysfunctional. You know. I have 2 brothers. One straight, one gay, me the consummate observer of life. I have a mother that discovered Prozac about 20 years too late. God rest her soul, I love her. And a father with an obsessive compulsive disorder. So, you know, I come from a normal family, dysfunctional. My middle brother graduated from Georgetown University. And another brother with a doctorate from Brigham Young University in Organization and Communication. Folks, I went to Valdosta State College. I majored in 6-packs. Wild turkey and moonshine making. I was good. I went to Valdosta State College. But it was a fraud. What it is that there was a sibling rivalry. My brothers are the writers. They really are. They can write. One's in public relations, been in public relations in Atlanta for 20 years, lived in Bangkok, LA, New York, some of the greatest public relations companies in the country. And the guy should write. But I thought he would. But he didn't. And then the other one's phenomenal. But I also use the words of Thomas Wolfe, because my brother gave birth to a guy by the name of William Mark Porter, my oldest brother, and that's his oldest son. Now, William Mark Porter is I call it directing editor. In the words of Thomas Wolfe, you don't have to be a great writer. You got to have a great editor. And Thomas Wolfe had one of the best. Guy did most of the work for a guy by the name of Hemingway. If you don't know who Thomas Wolfe is, okay? But the directing editor, William Mark Porter, the kid graduated from Wesleyan University, got a full ride to Harvard. After 2 years for his doctorates and master at Harvard, he dropped out, and he became my directing editor. And together we made a great team. He worked for me the summer of his junior year in high school. Thought he wanted to work. He had begged me to come work for me. I put him in Amicalola Falls, gave him a backpack and some food. Said, you got to be at work on Thursday. I put him there on Monday. So, that was his first day. The sibling rivalry. And then the last was ignorance is truly bliss. But one of the other, in between, there's one of the great things that I get to see. And one of the great things about the Appalachian Trail is not just the mileage, but the beauty and the solitude of being out there in the woods. It's the people. And one of the stories of the people that I remember the most was a woman by the name of Carol. And Carol had come into our shop. She had been 4 days from Amicalola that she had started. And she came into the shop, and she walked up to me. And now Carol was probably about 65, beautiful woman. Her head was shaved, and she was wearing a hat, but she had these memorable eyes, blue eyes with amber flecks in them that you just knew that soul had some peace in it. But she goes, Winton, I said, I need your help. I need your help. I said, sir. So I went through her pack and helped her with her system and everything. But in the end, and she had a shaved head, which wasn't uncommon, but you sensed that there was cancer involved. Okay? You sensed it, but you weren't sure. And we never really talked about it. But I went through her pack, and in the end, it was really her pack. Her equipment was good and everything, but her pack was just too big for her. And I put her in a pack, and she wore it around for about 30 minutes, and then I came back after a little while, and she was back there putting all her stuff back in her pack. Now I wouldn't object to that. The thing is with Carol, she goes, okay, what's going on? She goes, I'm just not sure. I'm just not certain. And I go, well, that's fine. I said, listen, why don't you take your pack and your equipment. I want you to walk to Hiawassee. Now, Hiawassee's 4 days away on foot from our store. Okay? And when you get there, if you decide you want the pack, I will bring it to you. Well, sure enough, and about 4 days later, I get a phone call. She goes, Winton, will you bring me the pack? And I go, yeah. She's at Moll's Motel. Yeah, Moll's Motel, I think. And I said, I close the shop at 6:30. I can be there by 7:15. Now, I went over I finished up work, and I had a dog with me. I had a golden retriever who followed me just about everywhere for most of the first 7 years of my life in the shop. And her name was Sky, and Sky always came with me. And she did that day. Now, at Moll's Motel, Has everybody ever been there, Moles Motel? Hiawassee, Georgia. It's a lovely place. Bill Bryson wrote about it. But Moles Motel, this guy jumps out of my car, and there's a lady, I think she's like 140, and she lives like in the last room on the right, and she's in a rocking chair, and I think it's just reruns of like As the World Turns going on. And the cigarettes fluming out of spewing out of the doorway. But she obviously saw me drive up. It was like a cuckoo clock. She comes out. No dogs. No dogs. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. She walks back in. And then so I go in and to Carol. Now I had given Carol the trail name Lorac. Now simply Lorac was Carol spelled backwards. Now a trail name, for those of you who don't know, is that we work in aliases out there on the trail. We really don't want to know your real name. We don't know anything about you, so just give me a fake name. So trail name is what happens. Well, you could be called Bramlin, you could be called Mudbutt, you could be called Smelly Sock, anything. You get to choose sometimes it's picked for you. But Carol, I'd given her the name Lorac. Now we all probably know Lorac from the Dr. Seuss story, The Savor of the Trees. And I fit her in a pack, and everything was working great. And I finally, I sat there and I said, well, Carol, I said, you're a cancer survivor. And she looked down and she said, no. She says, I'm terminal. What do you say there? But this beautiful woman with the kind heart, the blue eyes, with the amber flecks, she knew. She recovered me perfect. She said, don't worry. I said, it's okay. She said, my family thinks I'm crazy. They don't think I should be out here. But you know what, Winton? Dreams are all I'm made of right now. She says, what happened is Carol Lorac started to hike that trail last year. She made it to Virginia. She got sick, got diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Now, and she could remember the echoes in my head. Dreams are all I'm made of. And I'm going to do this trail. I'm going to make this trail. And your heart just drops. But those are the stories that make me go to work every day. And I get to go to work. Now, a question that everybody has, what happened to Carol? And I like to say is, you got to read the book. But the truth of the matter is, I don't know. The name of the book is just Passin Thru, which is what we're all doing, right? I don't know. But I found out about 2 months later, I was digging through some old mail, and I had never gotten this one piece of mail. It had been open, but I don't remember open. And it was from Carol, thanking me for helping her out and thanking me for giving her a trail name. Now, I didn't know she actually took her trail name, but it was thanking me. And at that point, I never knew her last name, but I do now. Somebody did. I don't know what happened to Carol. Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. People ask, what's this book about? And I tried to put a visual to this whole thing so you guys could have something to correlate to and want to be able to. But the best thing that I could do is you take the Bob Newhart show. All right, let's bring in some Seinfeld. Show about nothing happening in New York. Now, maybe let's bring some cartoon. Let's bring some My Name is Earl in there. All right, everybody remember that show? Let's bring some cartoon. We can't do anything without the Simpsons camping out in the woods. Right? And then let's bring in all my people. All right? These are my people. This is Pirate. This is Baltimore Jack. We got Minnesota Smith. We got Ronnie Haven, wrestler number 2. If you remember back in the late 70s, that's the guy in the school bus. Wrestler number 1 and wrestler number 2, that's Ronnie Haven. And then Bigfoot. That's my world. That's the book's about. It's about a lot about the characters and the people that pass through my life. And there's some more of them. The true story. This guy over here in Love My Life, I don't think I've ever told this to a group before. He walked across America with that sign on his back. Now, what's his story? He's 22 years old. His son was killed in a car accident. The tragedy for any parent. 2 weeks later, his 25-year-old son killed in a car accident. That's a true Forrest Gump right there. Last I heard, he was somewhere in Oregon walking back. Yeah, but what a great story. That was what he was about, love life. Yeah, love life. But the mountain crossings. The mountain crossings is what we're with it. I'll give you one more. Go back can we go back one slide? I want to show you. One of my favorite characters in here is this guy, Pirate. Pirate's been walking this trail for about 18 years. He and I have known each other for about 10 of those 18 years. Now that's Pirate. If you can see, he's got a screwdriver in his hand, and that's an electrical socket. So it's a great photo of opportunity, right? True story. A couple of months ago, this guy walks into the store. Doesn't have any clothes on. Well, let me correct it. He got the Chattahoochee National Forest covered him up in the form of a map. That's it. Pirate's standing. This guy's standing next to me, and the store is filled with about 10 or 12 people, like yourselves, and Pirate's down here next to me, and the guy's going, man, we're looking at each other. The guy's going, man, I don't know what happened. Man, he goes, and he's like, I can't find my pack. I don't know where my clothes are, and there's voices in my head that my girlfriend is buried in the mountain somewhere, and I've been trying to dig her out. Well, that's true, because there's dirt all over the guy's feet. And I look at Pirate, and the guy's looking at us like we've got the answer. You've walked into heaven's gate. Hallelujah. I look at Pirate. He's my sage, my master, the teacher, the man of wisdom, the man of few words. Navy SEAL. Retired. Yeah, I tell you, I go, Pirate, what do we do? Yeah, I think we should give him clothes. Brilliant! Let's give him some clothes. Yeah, that's true. The guy had found some shrooms in the backyard back there somewhere, and he was tripping on some shrooms back in the back out in the forest. So that's what happened. That's happened. Pirate, the pirate was this guy here too, and I'm like, how are we doing all the time? Everybody having a good time? Yeah. All right. Well, we need to jumping jacks. Okay, I'm keeping the excellent work. This crowd back there. People on the couch. You need drinks? Pirate. This is a bad story. He's been with me for a long time. Hiked the trail. Probably been hiking the trail for 18 years. I think he's probably hiked the trail about 5 times that he can remember. Navy SEAL. Worked for we're driving down the road every year in the military. You guys, every year I get just a little bit out of it. He didn't really talk about what he does, but apparently one day we're driving down the road, and he said he lived in Washington. What did you do? He said, I drove Reagan. Yeah, he was one of the drivers for the Reagan administration. I go, well, he goes, I'm on Pirates. You tell me that you would jump in front of a bullet for the President of the United States? Not the Nixon, I'm sorry. Back that up. Could ruin that story. He was the Nixon administration. He was driver for the Nixon administration. So you're telling me that you would jump in front of the President of the United States for a bullet? Yeah, no, that wasn't my job. That was Secret Service's job. I just drove the car. So you went to Watergate? Yeah, I was there. He goes, what happened when everything went down? I said, Ford fired us. He said, well, where did he put you? Caribbean. So he was down in the Caribbean. So we're watching these cigarette boats on TV, and we're watching. So what do you do with the he goes, we had those. I go, well, what'd you? He said, Hawaii. He said, well, the drug runners had them. This is in the late 70s, so they're taking what was that, coke mostly and hash. So I said, well, how fast it goes? I don't know, like 140, 180, I don't know. I go, how do you shoot out of a boat going that fast? He's like, very carefully. Jason, those are the people of my life. Welcome to my life. I got off track. Are we having one? What's that next slide? This will keep me back on. That's a boot in a tree. This is there was one final story as we move into, we're doing good. The one thing about writing Just Passin Thru, and over the years, and this is close to your heart, and it was in my backyard. And if you remember back in a guy by the name of Gary Hilton, right? and the woman, Meredith Emerson. Well, people ask me all the time, did you put that in the book? And the truth is that I couldn't. But I think it's important to talk about. But I couldn't. And I did write chapters, and if anybody ever finds my computer, they will find the chapter. But if I had to paint that picture, because Meredith was a regular up at the shop, I would paint that picture of her getting into her car, opening the door for her dog Emma, and getting into her car and driving back towards Dahlonega, towards Athens, technically, and going home. That's how my story would have to be with it. But it's personal to me because it was in my backyard, and you have to say, what could I do? I saw Gary was in my shop on Saturday. He was looking at rain jackets. I talked to him. He was a man of few words. No other way to describe the man. You couldn't find another better word in the dictionary than the word creepy. All right, that's just what he was. You know, you could reach for all of them, just creepy. But could I have done anything differently? But what the man carries a bench around. That's what this is for. But because it's part of the story. One day I come into the shop, and I come into the shop, and the staff goes, "Winton, you got to see this. We got this package yesterday, and we opened it up, and what was in it was this beautiful handmade bench." And they said, "But you got to read the letter." So I bring the letter. It says, "Dear Winton, please accept this simple storage bench as a token of my gratitude to you for providing me with warm clothes and hiking boots while searching for our daughter, Meredith Emerson, in January of 2008. I had thought of thanking you many times and had always planned on making this bench for you, and I felt it would fit in the decor of your hiking shop. I was planning on making one of these benches for my daughter Meredith, and I know she would be pleased for you to have it in her place. I've also included several pictures of a favorite hiking spot we go to frequently, one of Meredith's favorite, Button Rock, and that's in Colorado. And enclosed in it was pictures of Emma, but pictures, all these photographs of her favorite spot, and then pictures of her father out in Logan, Utah, along with the dog Emma that we all remember correct in the film, and but with it. Here, share those around. But the reason part of this goes on is that we don't want to forget, and Meredith Emerson, and that the great bumper sticker I love, and you take these words home and you share them with your children, is that the great bumper sticker is that we are here to awaken from the illusion of our separateness. We are here to awaken from the illusion of our separateness. And it's these things that happen to people like this. I cannot separate myself from this, but I can help make a difference to the people that want to venture out there and maybe keep them a little bit safer, keep my eyes a little bit more open, and make sure that I spread the word. And make sure that if I see something that's not right, that I tell somebody that's not right. And folks, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. You guys would like any questions?
I do.
All right.
All the boots that are in the shop up at the, what's the story on the boots?
Well, the real question is, where are the bodies? Yeah, it's the Museum of Old Souls. The Museum of Old Souls is something I started. Some people collect stamps, I collect boots. But what she's talking about, we set out to collect 2,171 pairs of shoes to represent every mile on the trail. It's actually 2,181 now. So everybody, before you leave, please leave your shoes at the door. I mean, we got 950 and a half. Now I have one prosthetic leg, so we count that one too. But the Museum of Old Souls is what that is. And over the years, we started them in the stores, but they started to appear in the trees outside. So yeah, that's gotten big. So yeah, we got to take care of the old oak. So yes.
I'm just curious, did you actually live on the property?
Yes. Most of the, probably for the first 5, 6 years, I guess I lived in property, and that's what you'll discover in the book. Because literally, folks, the question: I live in an old CCC building built in the 1937. Whatever the temperature was outside, it was 10 degrees warmer on the inside. So if it was, those 5-degree nights, I was catching 15, and I didn't want to start a fire because I was afraid that the fire thing had stuff in it, it wasn't going to get out, and then there was no way I could afford to run the heat back then, so that was not an option, and it didn't work anyway. Any other questions? Yes. Yep, I've been hiking this trail since I was about 7 years old. Over my lifetime, my father and I started every weekend. This is what we came out and did. But I've been hiking this. I grew up in Atlanta most of my life, and every weekend this is where we came and played.
You hiking on the trail?
Yeah. But it's been one of the things that I always remember. It ain't about the miles. It's all about the smiles. That's the one that and certainly the people out there. And I encourage all of you guys. Has anybody out there hiked it? You guys been out hiking this trail? Anybody knows where the Appalachian Trail is? You do now. You do now. Yes.
Did Bill Bryson come through here?
Bill did. Yeah. Bill came. He came through. I wasn't there when Bill Bryson, and nobody knew that he was writing a bestseller. One of the great things, which I'm glad you bring him up. One of the things I sent Bryson my manuscript. One of the with it, he said good luck, but you'll find out in chapter 2 a little bit about Bill Bryson as well, and I'll save the punchline of that one later. But one of the great reviews that I had over the years. Now I won Georgia Author of the Year award. She may have said that, and beating about 10 others, and who was it? Max Cleland. Max Cleland was there. He was part of the memoir, which was humbling, truly, truly humbling, to meet that man and actually to beat him out in my Author of the Year. But the great review that I had was